Hey, welcome to the Three Orcs live stream. This is my weekly live stream on YouTube for our weekly updates on what I'm gonna cover on this video, what we did all week. And now this is November 2nd, 2025, and this is the live stream every Sunday night at 7 p.m. where we cover all the activity that we had, all the work we've done on this project for the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign called the Verbobonc Campaign Guide 576 Common Year. Now, this is the epic sandbox version of the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign, not just running the module from the pages. And as a lot of you know that's been following me for quite some time, this is a 7-year plus project with over 1,500 articles on World Anvil for the campaign. Now, just like the village of Hamlet, all the villages in the area have been fully developed and fleshed out with characters and NPCs, loot, dialogue, flavor text, NPCs and government buildings and shops and plots and plot hooks and everything you can think of that would be in a village. And it's available for free on the fan content version of this campaign on World Anvil. Now, I wrote this to be able to use this campaign, at the table while you're running the game. So that way, all the information of this huge campaign is at your fingertips quickly with a lot of links and interactive maps. Like every village has a map, and you click on any shop in the village, and it'll take you to the article and the NPC that's there. Also, plot hooks as well. And I've created the first actual official module for this campaign setting, which is Noble Ambitions. And we've been talking about that for the last couple of weeks. Per request, I interviewed the original author from Living Greyhawk, Rick Brunner. He gave permission to be able for me to rewrite it. That module was written for Living Greyhawk in the year 593 Common Year, which is well after the Greyhawk Wars. And basically, when you're running the second uprising of the Temple of Elemental Evil module by Gary Gygax and Frank Mencher, that this is before the Greyhawk Wars, before any of that happened. So that's all possible future events. And this is for the Dungeon Master that would like to run the traditional Temple of Greyhawk module, the T1 through 4, and the entire campaign. And to bring this campaign to life, you really need to develop the area and flush it out. That way the players can go almost anywhere, and so can the Temple of Elemental Evil leadership and their agents and who they're collaborating with. I mean, they're collaborating with bandits and brigands and pirates, including organizations from the Wild Coast, the Scarlet Brotherhood, the Slavers of the Wild Coast, rich merchants and guilds in Divers, rich nobles in the city of Verbobonc. And they got their fingers and everything trying to stir up trouble, cause confusion and unrest in the area because Uis is behind all this. Now, the first Temple of Elemental Evil, was put down 7 years ago. I always repeat myself in every video in case somebody new joined and they don't know what's going on here. And this is the second uprising. And Uis sent his second henchman, the mouth of Uis, that's Hadric, the supreme commander of the Temple of Elemental Evil, to Nob to start the temple up again, to recruit and organize it and get it back on the path of gaining power and dominating the area and the region and causing unrest and with politics and the people that live there. Now, they learned their lesson from the first time that you just don't build an army and march upon the city of Verbobonc. And the reason Uis wanted to do that, and he wants to do it again, is because he's trying to divert attention from the north, because this is before the Greyhawk Wars. And as you all know, during the Greyhawk Wars, Uis did all these things, and it would help him a lot during those wars if the attention of the kingdoms of good, like Furondi and Valuna, Divers and Greyhawk, the elves of Selene, or diverted their attention to down here around Null because of the Temple of Elemental Evil. And that gives him a head start on his plans up north. And that's his ultimate goal. Is another goal involved with, the trapped Zugmoy, the demoness queen of fungi. If he were to release her, she would be indebted to Uis, and that prove very valuable ally to him. So it's layers and layers to this plot, like peeling back the onion layers to get back down to the core of what's really going on in this campaign. And it's up to the players to figure this out. And they start off with just rumors, banditry and brigands in the on the rise along the merchant roads, the Viscounty of Verbobonc and the Gnarley Forest, because there's a lot of merchant roads running through the veins of these territories that connects the Wild Coast, Divers, the city of Verbobonc, Selene. You look to the south, Valuna to the west, Fiorendi to the north. And the pirates, brigands, and bandits, they prey upon merchants, rob them, and take prisoners. And they deliver them just outside of Nulb, and to help support the effort of the rise of the Temple of Elemental Evil. And they need a lot of supplies. Per the module, there's a lot of heavy recruiting going on. And the module does cover all that in the DM only chapter. So basically, this is my effort here is to stick to canon as much as possible, starting with the World of Greyhawk box set and all the lore books since then, including the Temple of Elemental Evil module, and then taking the Living Greyhawk stuff as inspirational material, because they did develop the villages in the area, the organizations like the Gnarley Rangers and the Druids of the Gnarley, things that the box set really didn't cover. In the module, Gary Gygax expected the Dungeon Master to do all the heavy lifting, that he couldn't print up his whole campaign in that module. It would be over 1,000 pages. Back in the 80s, that was impossible. And so he expected the Dungeon Master, with only 4 locations of Nulb to draw from, to expand all that. And that's what I've done for you guys for the last 7 years. And I'm second to none on anybody's efforts out there for this campaign. And if anybody that comes to the World Anvil websites and take a look at all this material, you'll be stunned. Not only do I make interactive maps for every location, but full character articles, backgrounds, personalities, politics, all the organizations involved, which is quite a bit. It's a huge, huge project. And I put it up on World Anvil in an organized manner to make it referenceable easily for the Dungeon Master at the table. Now, this is fan content for Wizards of the Coast, and it states that in the bottom of every article on my World Anvil site, what it is, and everybody's freely able to use it, no problem, including the maps. And I share that artwork and maps, on Discord and Facebook and my 3 Orcs Discord channel and Patreon. Now, if you want higher resolution versions of that stuff, you'll probably have to go to the Patreon and join. That way you can access that if you want to print these up or have a higher resolution version for your VTT map. I'm also creating VTT tokens too, and I'll be putting that on my Patreon. Any of my work will be on the Patreon that's not related specifically directly to Greyhawk World. So basically, I decided about a year ago to create modules. It was requested by the Dungeon Masters. There's quite a few Dungeon Masters on the Discord channel that was running this campaign, and they're so glad they found it because they're using it for running their campaign. And they have requests, and that's what the Discord channel is for. You guys go there, join the conversation, critique the work. I do this work every day, and I put the copies of the articles I just write that day on the Discord for you guys to critique, talk about it, discuss it, make some changes and edits, suggestions and things like that. Well, it's been requested that I make something that's printable, because you really can't print the pages from World Anvil. It looks horrible if you try to. Good luck. And even if you export it as a PDF, it strips all that formatting out. So it's even worse. You're going to have a 50-page stack of papers that's printed up that's not formatted all in one row. It's pretty bad. It's going to be really difficult. So I decided to create a real module, like for the Village of Shirnab, Ostverk, and Nulb, and other stuff, like the leadership of the Temple of Elemental Evil. So that way you guys can print those up. And when I formatted those modules in a very concise, exacting, formatted, condensed, concise PDF for you to print up and use at the table or just read. And it turned out really nice, very professional. I use a template that helps a lot. And I spent a lot of hours. It took me 300 hours to do the first version of Nulb. And then when I had to go into it and remove somebody else's work in it that I borrowed, it took me another 300 hours to eliminate their stuff and replace it with my stuff, which actually turned out better. A lot better. And so I got 600 hours into Nulb, but the only reason I did it is for those Dungeon Masters that want something to print up. And they sell over at the Dungeon Masters Guild. Well, Dungeon Masters Guild found out that I'm giving this information away. The copy of it is on World Anvil. The Village of Nulb is on World Anvil with its interactive maps and all its links, the pages, and all the other villages and stuff. They said, no, if you're going to sell anything on DM's Guild, this is the only source that you can get access to that. You can't offer anywhere else, even if it's free. And so I had to make a choice. Do I want to take down the modules off DM's Guild and just keep my World Anvil public and active for all you guys to use, or do I want to take down or close the World Anvil website and just sell the modules on DM's Guild? Well, truthfully, there's the sales and the money on DM's Guild is nothing. It's just peanuts. It's like covers coffee and my subscription to World Anvil, things like that. So it's not a big deal. So I decided to stick with World Anvil. But I was thinking of creating a different website where I can offer these modules, a stripped down fan content version of these modules for free, because I don't want those modules to go to waste. But I need to strip it down so it's fan only content, and I'm going to put them on a separate website. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some stuff here. So let me go ahead and bring up my screen. I'm working all week on the Ancient Suel Temple. That's part of this campaign. This is part of the first module that was requested, and the full adventure line for this campaign, starting at first level to start this campaign, instead of just starting outside of the village of Hamlet like everybody always did for the last 40 years. My character started in the city of Verbobonc, and I really bring that to life. A lot of work went into that city. That city's done, by the way. You can go to World Anvil and actually use the city of Verbobonc with like hundreds of locations and NPCs and stuff going on there. And I started my adventure quest line there. So for some reason, if you guys have any questions in YouTube, I'll just type it in there. I can answer them for you. And it looks like I'm live, but for some reason my chat's not working in this app. But that's okay. All right, so I'm going to show you something. So I started putting this together. This is going to be a Google site that I'm putting together to put all the free content on for you guys to download. So that way it's confirming for sure that it's fan content. It's free. I don't want to, I can't put PDFs on Patreon, and that's a little murky, even though you can join my Patreon for free. You don't have to have a membership. You don't have to have a paid subscription tier to join it. But still, they get kind of weird about that. So I decided to create another site, which is this. I just started it. I got to make it look better. And I'm going to put all the free stuff on here. And then all the other 3 orcs only work is going to be on the Patreon that you have to be a subscriber for. You know, like those icons and certain maps, like the high resolution versions, things like that. But I want to talk about what I did this week. So I've been pretty busy. I was talking about this campaign website, and this is the front cover of it. So real quick, I'll go over it real quick. The front splash screen, and there's an interactive map of the Viscounty of Verbobonc. You click on a village and go to the village. And so that's kind of like a table of contents. There's a table of contents, and there's an interactive map. So you can get around, navigate around this campaign world both ways. And if I scroll down more, there's a little tiny video blurb I did about what this campaign's about. And on the left side, the World Codex is the table of contents. And on the right, it's the maps. So you can go down through the atlas and see all the different locations and villages and stuff, like the Viscounty of Verbobonc. Those are all the villages I've done so far. So how many have I got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. Plus Celine's done. And there's more in the forest, the hills, mountains, and rivers. And the city of Verbobonc, that's done. So it's quite a bit here. Even a couple in Wild Coast, actually. They're not quite done yet. Anyway, campaigns. So I'm going to click on campaigns. And Noble Ambitions is one of the campaigns here. And basically, Noble Ambitions is this grand series quest of a lot of parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. I'm all the way up to Part 12. Part 12 is the dungeon. After they get out of the dungeon, all the players should be second level by then. Then you can head them down to Hamlet and go to the moat house or whatever you want to do in your campaign, because there's a lot going on. There's other outposts out there besides the moat house. There's the air temple, earth, water, air, fire. So anyway, the first 4 of these is in the city, as you can see. And then you're on the road and you're just traveling across the world here. And I'll show you the map. This map is 1 hex is 3 miles. This is the Viscounty map. That's what the orange line is for. But this map is 1 hex is 1 mile. So it's more zoomed in. All right, so start city of Verbobonc, go to Penwick, go to Asbury Manor, go to Ancient, cross the fence of Tor, into the forest, DM only layer. And there's the dungeon right there, the Ancient Suel Ruins. So this is iconic dungeon location in the city in the world of Greyhawk. The ancient Suel ruins back from -200 common year, because the migrations were like -430 something common year, and the Suels swept through here in their migrations, and this is one of the outside temple outposts. They didn't really go further than this to the west. This is the farthest they went, and they kind of stopped there. And I created a whole entire history article behind the temple, so that way a dungeon master can use that in their campaign. There's a lot of information on this campaign that the dungeon master may or may not need or use. Depends how much you role play, what your characters ask about. You got sages, and you have a lot of different things in this campaign that could pop up, or your leaders that the players serve. Like the Night Ranger or the Ranger that's in your group. He goes back to this Night Ranger trainer in the Gnarley Forest, and he starts asking questions, and the Night Ranger will say, yeah, this, and that, and this. And you'll have that information because all those articles have been written. And so you can draw from them and give it to the player or develop more plot hooks. So what I want to show you what I did this week was the second level. So the first level, so this is Noble Ambitions first. So this is the quest line, the front page. And the front page covers what the quest is about, the synopsis, everything you need to know, the key NPCs. On the right-hand side is all the links, like a table of contents to all the chapters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first NSQ1, NSQ2, 3, and 4 are side quests in the city of Verbobonc for Pacific players in the group. So that way you can get them started with this canned pre-adventure before they form together as a group in encounter number 1. Because the lady there, she's put out a notice that she's looking to hire adventurers for undisclosed manor, and everybody in the city is really curious what that is. So a bishop of a cleric might send their cleric. The high wizard master of the Wizards Guild will send their wizard, like a first level wizard. The rangers will send a gnarly, or druids. The great druid might send somebody. And so people will be interested to find out what the most eligible bachelorette in the kingdom wants. And that's her right there. So that's her in the city of Verbobonc, and that's her profile picture, her headshot. And so when you finally get to 12, where's 12 at? When you get to 12, is this not in order? Politics, mission. Oh, you know why 12's not here? So these are plot articles. It's a category, a type of article. These are plots. I'll make sure none of you guys are talking here. Gotta check my chat. Hey, Xavier. Hi, David. Thanks for all the development of the sandbox. You continue expanding and help us to make our campaign experience much easier. You're so welcome. Thank you for the compliment. I'm glad you're finding this work useful. 7 years hasn't gone to waste. This whole thing started off as just Dungeon Master notes because I'm very thorough. I'm not always that, anal about, putting this much effort into preparing for a game. This is different. This is not running Old School Essentials, the Hole in the Oak module, a dungeon, or the B2 module, Caves of Chaos, a mini campaign. That stuff you can run off the cuff, right? But this is an epic sandbox campaign, totally different. This is something you got to prepare for. Better yet, somebody else prepared for you. That's why you bought those box sets over the years. All those campaign settings, from Greyhawk or Forgotten Realms, whatever. They all came out with those box sets of these campaign settings. And Dungeon Masters always go, I don't prepare anything. I just run out the cuff. That's not necessarily true. You still have those material that you bought that you're running it. So you're running off the cut using that material. Somebody did the work, right? Just because you didn't do the work, somebody had to, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing this work. Okay, why 12 isn't here? 12 is a location article. So these are plot. See, it says subplots. Those are plot articles. So I'll have to add it here somewhere. I think it's at the bottom. Let's see, locations. Ancient Suel Temple right here. I have to add a link here, but I know the link's down below. Yep. Come on, stop it. Level 1, level 2. So the original Temple of Elemental, the original Suel Temple module from Noble Ambitions by Rick Bruner for Living Greyhawk had only the first level. And he intended, or he did in this campaign, I don't know which, but there's supposed to be a second level, but he just had the stairs caved in. You didn't need the second level because you're just running this at a convention, the module. And the module was already long enough. There's no way you could run it. It had to be a multi-session an event at a convention to go through all that. And he streamlined it immensely. I expanded this quite a bit. About before when I told you that I always follow canon with the intention of expanding, broadening. I don't change core concepts or core canon. I expand it. Living Greyhawk's not really canon for this project because we're running the Temple of Elemental Evil in the 579 Common Year with the Greyhawk box set in the 576 Common Year campaign setting. The World of Greyhawk campaign setting, 576 Common Year. When you ran this module originally in the 80s in this campaign world, Living Greyhawk didn't exist yet. The Greyhawk Wars didn't exist yet. So it's not really canonical sources, but it's great value for these locations like Penwick, Sheer Knob, Ostwerk, all these different organizations. So no matter what timeline you're running this campaign in, you don't have to run it in this one. You can change the timeline. You can run it in 600 Common Year if you want to. All these locations and NPCs and organizations still exist. So it's still useful. We have some Pathfinder DMs. No, I shouldn't say that. We have some DMs that are running it in later timeline, and they are using it fine. They have a few quibbles like how old Lady Eleanor is, but I had to change her age to fit this campaign. All right. So what I want to show you guys, I don't know what I want to show you. I want to show you guys something. So last week I went through half this already with you guys. And this week I did more. So I showed you these rooms already last week. The Great Crypt. The Great Crypt Hall. So this hall is leading north up to the crypts to the big temple. So let me pull out the map so I can get you guys on the same track. So this map's not done. It's a map in progress, and I've gotten farther since last time. I added all this crypt area. I'm always adding more detail and going over it again and matching the imagery, the artwork in each article with the rooms. So sometimes I have to change the room to match the image, which I'll have to do up here. I wasn't really 100% sure what I was going to do with that room up here, but then I wrote it today, and so I'm going to have to change the map a little bit. This room over here too. This is the Great Temple. Okay, let's go. Let's premise here. Let's talk about overview. Big overview. Okay, see these stairs right here? Those are the steps in the original Noble Ambitions dungeon map that are caved in. So Rick Bruner caved them in. So you could excavate them and go down to the second level. And logically, what would be down there? This is the Suel Temple of Ouijas and all the gods. So obviously crypts, undead. This is pretty typical for D&D, right? All right, so you go down to the Great Chamber. That's kind of a trick chamber of statues. You have to do something with the statues to get that north wall to slide over. There's another trick to open up this door on the west wall, and that gets you into this crypt area, crypt preparation area, the mortuary, the energy down to the pits below. This is where they stack the bones. I went over this last week. All these hallways, every hallway, every room has tricks, traps, riddles. It's really dense. It's going to be a lot of fun for the players to explore and investigate. Those kind of players. Also, there's lots of monsters, so those kind of players will like it too. This is the antechamber for the leader organizing events. This is like a side temple room. And I went over that last week too. Something about this map. So this is the crypts, right? And I added more detail since last time. That statue's hiding that hidden corridor right there. So it's a trick to get past him. If you don't, these assassins, poison needles right out of their mouths at the players. That's my favorite part. The players are going to die right there in that circle. I should put a bunch of blood there. All right. That's a prep room. These two tombs, crypts, these tombs. I got to change some graphics here. This door is hard to get into. It's a riddle, a trick to get into it. And there's this powerful, there's a mummy in there. And I think I saw that to you guys last week. I don't remember where I'm at, but I think I did. It's really cool look, really good looking artwork, the mummy coming out. So about players, if any of the players are like followers of the Suel gods, that'd be a great help here. Because it's possible to navigate this complex. It's all keyed. All the information is here for you to figure this out. All the tricks and traps and riddles and possibility of interaction with these tombs and tomb doors. And there's some relics in here. The very powerful Suel relics in here that can be used elsewhere in this dungeon too. And see these side alcoves. You know that video game Skyrim, Elder Scrolls. Hey Hootie, hey David, I'm really enjoying your Temple of Elemental Evil work and have been purchasing your DM's Guild PDFs to support the enterprise. Thank you so much, Hoodie. I really appreciate that. I'm glad you were able to get it while you could. So I know it comes in really useful, and I'm expecting to do more. So you have a note there that you also said that you noted that the Ancient Settlement, the World Anvil webpage, has a multi-pass error for the map link. And the open full-size numbered map link. Otherwise, it's looking great. Oh. See, this is why you guys need to come on Discord while I'm working on this stuff. Where the hell you guys been? Ancient. Oh, Ancient. Okay, so this is the main page of Ancient. And that's the interactive map. And you can click on any of these buildings and open up their articles. Also, down below is another table of contents of those locations. If you just put your cursor over it, it pops up a sub menu, a sub article. Click it again, takes you to the full article. I like to right click and go to open new tab. Anyway, okay, so we know this works. Let's try this. Open full size. Am I logged in? Yeah, I'm logged in. So this is the viewer version. You see, that's the mounted borderer guard tower, and they patrol up and down this path that runs parallel to the Fenzator. So they can resist intrusions from the monsters in the Fenzator into the Viscounty to raid the farms. That's their job anyway. That's the Chapel of St. Cuthbert. That's the mill. That's the tavern. So double check it. Hey, World Anvil came out with new upgrades. I'm running out of server space, by the way. I'm only allowed 4 gigabytes of space on World Anvil. I'm up to 3.3 gigs. Just to let you guys know, I can upgrade my account, pay more money per month. Map settings. I can't see. Public. Well, the map is public, so it should work. Maybe you're clicking on the other page. Ancient. So can we go back? Oh. So what's not opening? It doesn't work for you. Why is that? It says public. Let's go back to the main page. So this link right here, can you see that? No, we can't. This link, yeah, this link right here is what I clicked on to open up. Maybe you're thinking of this one, this map. Yeah, let's look at that. Okay, that's just a picture. Let's see map settings. I can't see privacy. Public. That's public too. I don't see what's wrong. So both maps are public. Click on it and click on that. And if I click on one of these guys, the tavern, then I click on this right here. See, that's the tavern. That's the guy. You're going to like this tavern. I put a whole bunch of NPCs in here for you guys to hire as hirelings or something to join your group. Because this is the first level group trying to cross the fence of Tor. Those alligators are going to eat your group. Campaign ender right there. I'd hire this guy. Have him go with you with a donkey with a bell around his neck. That's what you need. Rumors. I put a lot of rumors in here too. A lot of dialogue. Well, I don't know what's wrong. But you say it's a link. I'm not sure what link you're talking about. I don't know. Oh. Yeah, it might be a browser issue. Yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't work. Well, if somebody else is on here, they can try it. I can ask in Discord. So I'll follow up later if I don't figure this out tonight. I'll ask in Discord for somebody else to try it too. And I'll follow up on it to clear that up. Okay, so let's go back to what we were doing, level 2. So I'm working on level 2, and I'm working on the maps on this main. This is the main page for level 2. And if you scroll down to the right, there's those rooms I've done already. So I've done room 18. I'm up to room 18. But, you know, it's like 3 16s. And there's 3. So it's multiple. Like room L211 has like 7 locations in that one location alone. Because I'll show you the map. See? This is location 11, all these rooms. So I made a separate article for each one of these crypts. Because there's a lot going on there. Okay, I want to talk about the cave-in. I'm not done with this crypt area yet. I need to add a lot more detail. And I also have to do something with the floor here. And that floor. All right, the crypt. So, okay, you see this right here? That's a lift, a mechanical lift. And that lift goes up to this lift right here. So somehow I got to draw some arrows to show you that going down this lift takes you here. And see this right here, this cover, the chains? That's the bottom of this. Okay. So because there's only so much room on the page, I don't want to make a separate map. I want to keep everything on the same map. And I don't want to make it too big where it's just too, the megabytes is too big for your guys' VTT. So what I'm saying is, I guess what I need to know is this right here, this hallway, I'm going to put a note here saying this hallway is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 50 feet. So this is a 50-foot long hallway right here. So I'll have to put like an X through it. Yeah. And I need to redo this a little bit. So the bottom of this pit right here should be right here. Yeah, because this is all, this subterranean cavern is down below the furnace. And it's also going to connect to these other caverns over here. I just haven't finished it yet. You know, this connection. All right. But I wanted to finish the crypt area first. You know, I'm keying it in. I'm writing the articles. I'm going to do the caverns next, starting tomorrow. Because today, I just finished this room right here. So let's go ahead and look at something. We don't need to look at that. That hallway right there, the Great Crypt Hall of the Six, is this hallway right. Oops. This hallway right here. I probably have to add more detail to this hallway to match that image. These are side rooms. I keep them in. That's a secret door right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that. We don't need to look at that. Did that last week. The bog and barrel. The wings. Oh, the wing of stone. The maze of ancestors. That's that whole crypt area, number 11. If you scroll down on this article, see on the right-hand side, those are the links to each one of those individual crypts. And each one of them is special and unique with its own artwork too. It turned out pretty nice. I got random encounter table too. Speaking of which, yeah, see, giant rats and work party. Okay, so that's that room. Who is that guy? That's him. He's a wraith. Okay, he's a wraith. A 5e stat block. So he's in 11A. I talked about this last week. I'm leading up to where I was at before. I just want to, right here, this room. That's him. So that's a specially sealed door. And there's some treasure in here. And there's a special artifact in here to help you later on in this dungeon. So it's good for the players to come here to recover it. There's some kind of Suel medallion. Okay, so we're past that. And okay, that's room 1. Okay, we don't need to look at that no more. So I just want to make sure I got this straight. Level 2. Okay. So this is the main article for level 2. We're back. and so what I worked on was that room up there. So it was number 18. Okay, so it's this one. Yeah, I want to show you this one. So I was creating this room right here. This room right here. This room behind this door through the, so you can get here through the crypt. You can get here through this tunnel, this corridor, and you can get here from this hidden secret. This is the secret treasure room, by the way. I probably have to put another door here, or maybe a secret door. Yeah, I probably should put a secret door there. So this room, I was thinking, what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? Then I wrote this up. So it's the Court of Witnesses. And I did something special today, actually. See that? That's a player handout. So they have these clay tablets, and all the buried dead in that crypt are listed there with their locations, with their names, their family names, all the details. So you couldn't really possibly put all that in one graphic. It's just an example graphic. So if you scroll down, there's your ledger. Ta-da! Even born date and death date. Pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of Teagle Manor from Judges Guild. So these plaques are in each one of these locations. Yeah. I probably should put that on the map, interactive map, I guess. I don't know. Oh. So that's what, I don't know how accurate. I might be missing some. Okay, so this room is basically the Court of Witness. And it's got a writing desk, a ruby stamp, a heater, wax tablets. There's a lit niche. You see the niche with all the stacked scrolls and stuff on the side of the walls. This is where they write the records for the witness records. The witness write the records of the dead here. That's what it's for. So it's kind of cool. So that's what I did today. And then 19, I guess we can close that. So 19 is what I really want to talk. Well, let's look at 17 real quick. Then we'll go to 19. Oh, yeah, I guess I did this during the beginning of the week. I love this. I like it when players die. Okay, so this is right here. So I still got to change the floor some to match that artwork. And I haven't figured out what to put in the circle room yet. So this is a way to bypass the secret door here, kind of. But there's a riddle, a trick to getting past all this. It's a cadence. It's there's statues in these alcoves I have not put on the graphics yet. And each statue has words at the bottom. So basically, it's all gate 1 is the first set of rollers, gate B, gate A, gate B, and then gate C. Those are the roller sets. And then statues. And it tells you, it describes how you can get past them. And there's a way of doing that. Moving through the active rollers and the porticus at the end of it, how to open that. That opens at a certain way. It's a riddle for that too. There's clues and readability of it. The secret door, right? The only thing bad that's going to happen here, besides all that damage, is it can make a lot of noise, draw attention and patrols. Like a ruby custodian, 2 ruby zombies can come from the west. And layout and all that. So how much damage is that? Here we go. So if you fail your dex save, it's 3d6 plus 1, slashing, piercing, and you're knocked prone and pushed 10 feet back. That's a lot of effect. If you make your success, there's no knockdown and half damage. Okay, also, then you start your turn while prone. If you start your turn while prone, the next round, you take another 2d6 damage. That's my favorite part. Okay, so I did that. Okay, now let's go to 18. I just want to show that off. Okay, so 18. We need to talk about this. I need your guys' help. You guys are sleeping in Discord today. All right, what's going on here? Hoodie, you said both those links don't work for you. Maybe I will try another browser. Thanks. Great to see that you have done with the Suel Temple. Sadly, I just DM'd my PCs through this module a month ago, but plan to use the extended work for another old school group in the future. Yeah, people, a lot of the Dungeon Masters I found, they always say that they run this campaign over and over again throughout the years. They don't just run it once. Almost every DM that I've talked to, that's what they're doing. They want to run it again. And it's really great about this campaign is you can start at different locations. So it's a different campaign. And also, something else to consider, most groups don't make it. They all die. That's the bit, though. And so you have to start over. So it's great is like a dungeon. It's a crappy dungeon, only has one entrance, so there's only so many times you can use it. But what's great about the Caves of Chaos is all these different entrances, so it's more interesting on return trips. Well, same thing with the campaign. You start the campaign off differently, so the players don't even recognize the campaign. You can start them off in the Wild Coast with the slaver thing, follow up with their links as delivering slaves to Nob for some reason, right? Following a merchant's daughter that got taken. Or a city of Verbobonc like I'm doing with Noble Ambitions, or Divers, or Gnarley Forest, the elves. So many different ways to start the campaign. And, you might not even get to the Temple of Elemental Evil the way this is going. So request-wise, I got a bunch of people requesting I finish this adventure series with this dungeon. As soon as that's done, I intend to create 4 more outposts like the Moat House. New maps, fully keyed, specifically written for this campaign timeline. So there's a Earth Temple, Outpost, Fire, Earth, Water, and Air. And I went over that before, and I don't know if I probably should mention it again. So I have to get the Viscounty map open just to tell you where they're at so far. We had a lot of discussions about where this stuff should be. So I'll get the DM only view. DM only locations. There we go. There's all of the dungeons. Okay, so we're looking at Hamlet. So, Moat House, east by northeast. Nob, Temple of Elemental Evil, the hunting cabin, and the barn. That's how you get into the temple, through the secret tunnel. This abandoned fort, Riverguard Keep, is right on the mouth of the river guarding Emridge Run. It's been abandoned and ruined, but the Water Temple took it over, and that's where the pirates hang out at. Water Temple, pirates, river, thematically it works. And the pirate captain, Tulib, works with Belsamek, bringing in slaves and loot supplies along the river. And he piracy up and down the rivers. Edders. The Edders is just north of Hamlet. Like, you remember, each hex is 3 miles, so that's like 5 miles away. You can see it from Hamlet. Just walk outside into the welcome winds, Dungeon Master. The player sees it right there above the roof line. Top of the Edder is a tower, and it's on fire. Do you think players might be interested in that? So anyway, that's where the Fire Temple is, and they're doing this huge event. And it's a ritual to bring back balance to nature. They're not really saying how they're going to bring the balance back, and it's on a certain date. And they invited all the druids in the region, in the Gnarley Forest and Viscounty, to come participate in this new ritual. Good way to wipe out all the druids at once. So that's what's happening there. And right here, just south of Hamlet, is an old abandoned monastery. And the Earth Temple moved in with and they're raiding up and down the long road, the merchant road. So not only is Lareth raiding up and down, and so is the Earth Temple, and they're at odds. So Lareth is with the Greater Temple, and the Earth Temple Romog is with himself, right? All right, Hoodie. So my PCs are veterans, playing together since 1987. All right. But I think that even they would have trouble surviving the temple and dungeon at first level. How do you manage this? Well, the players should have no business. They should never arrive at Nold until a minimum at least 5th level. You're talking about, you're probably talking about the Suel Temple. Well, I have it keyed. Okay. So the quest. So the quest gives you a prophecy, right? The quest is to recover the lost gem and sword of House Osbury that was lost after the Battle of Emerald Meadows. And she's desperate. It's a poor holding out in the breadbasket of the Viscounty, and she's begging, and she doesn't want the other nobles to find out. She doesn't want to depend on them. Lord Melinius is trying to marry her to take her lands. That's one thing that's happening. So she's really desperate. She's very independent. She's like a medieval feminist. She's highly educated, highly cultured, very capable, but they've never fully recovered since the Battle of Emerald Meadows. It's a very poor holding. They don't even have a smith. They're badly in need of a smithy. That's why they went to the city of Verbobonc to buy smithing equipment. But the players don't know this. They're escorting this wagon full of heavy stuff. So anyway, so they got a quest for her. She got a clue from this mad, a priest of Rayo, a raving lunatic. He's mad, and he's reciting this prophecy, this poem. And they suspect that these are directions to this Ancient Suel Temple on the east side of the Fens of Tor, where her family treasures are. So she wants to hire reliable, honest adventurers to go recover them for her, and she'll be forever in their debt and reward them handsomely, and maybe with some horseshoes. So anyway, they get this. So the prophecy tells you how to get to the dungeon to find the treasure. So the goal of going in this dungeon is not to take the dungeon off and clean it out. No. If players want to try that, good luck. They could try. In fact, my last party did do that. I can't believe it. They didn't die. I was shocked. Absolutely shocked. I tried to kill them. They just wouldn't die. I want a refund. So anyway, you're not supposed to clear a place out. So you follow the exact steps of the clue. It'll guide you through the dungeon. And let me show you the dungeon if I can find it. I know I had it open. I had it open somewhere. Oh, number 1. Level 1. Level 1. There it is. There's the dungeon. I'll click on it for you. Okay. So entrance. Artwork is awesome for all these locations. But this looks really good in the VCT map when you got the Fog of War going, because each room is highly detailed and very thematic. So you follow the red road. You count 7, then you count 3, and then you're in the temple. And the secret behind, and the clue tells you behind this fresco here, behind the altar, is a secret treasure room. And that's where the treasures are. So they got to get down this hallway, and just try not to draw attention. And get in here, deal with the temple, and hopefully in a timely manner before the whole entire tribe comes down on their heads. They're not supposed to engage the war chief of this tribe. They're not supposed to. It's kind of like the Gru of Zork. You know, you automatically lose. They could try and then run away, but it's going to be a running fight. It's going to be hard, and players will die. But they're not expected to do all that. They're supposed to be smart players, right? So anyway, they get here and they recover the treasures and get out. Another way out of this dungeon is location 14. There's a secret door here behind the fresco, and that leads up to the surface. So there's 2 access points on the first level in this dungeon. The front mouth, the mouth of Ouijas, and then the secret tunnel off to the north. There's 2 ways into this first level. There's multiple ways into the second level. So before we get there, location 7 is a pit trap, sends you down to level 2. At the end of this hallway is a pit trap, level 2. At the end of this hallway, is a pit trap. At the end of location 6, those are the stairs going down. I had to add steps there. Okay, so this layout is the mechanical layout of the module itself. by Rick Bruner. I just redid it. Okay, so level 2. So where were we? We don't need to look at the maze. Okay, we're going to look at that next. Okay, so more questions. My last group started the sandbox with Joseph Bloch's T0 module from Narwhal and the Wild Coast to Hamlet. He did the Suel Temple at 3rd level but they would like to try starting a next group from Verbobonc with noble ambitions. That's awesome. It's a very dramatic adventure. It really engages the players into the politics of what's really going on in the kingdom with all the the nobility and the leadership and the politics with the gnomes and the elves and the Gnarly Rangers and Furandi and Gluna. It really puts the players, they get it. You know how if you can't just take the World of Greyhawk box set and read them the history at the table, that'd be boring. But they're in this adventure series, they're living it. They're living through all these important concepts of the campaign. They're learning about the campaign world like a good fantasy novel a good movie where you learn the campaign world as you travel through it, as you adventure through it. And that's what this is all about. And I sprinkle all that in a lot of the dialogue that I write, adding things to bring this campaign world to life as a world of Greyhawk. Very thematic, very specific. Okay, so you're definitely not afraid of a TPK. I'm reading your note here. I wish I could share it, but it won't let me. Is it working now? Yeah, my extension for Chrome's not working. I would put it on screen. Okay, no balanced modules for us. I'm wondering if any groups are recruiting NPCs from Ancient. Yes, that's why I created those NPCs on the way to the Suel Temple to improve their survivability. That's what I do. Yeah, I created some amazing NPCs that are on Pacific Quest, part of this campaign, that they can recruit. And they're very interesting characters. And I did the same thing in Ostwerk. Really interesting characters down there that players can't stop talking about. The thief waits for somebody to properly desecrate the altar before stealing his gem eyes. Yep. I also gave another prophecy from a priestess of Istis. That's one of the side quests in the city of Verbobonc. I highly suggest you read that side quest because it's another prophecy on how to deal with the altar in the Suel Temple. If you cut off the head of the orc shaman, it'll break the spell, and you plop it on the altar, it'll break the desecration of grumps on that altar. I think I have that in detail written out for you to help you with that. There's other ways to undesecrate the altar with holy water, a cleric, prayer spell, things like that. But one of the key components is the head of that shaman. The shaman's the one that desecrated that altar. Chop his head off, use his head as a spell component. So anyway, that's what the Priestess of Istis prophecy is. It's very thematic, very dramatic prophecy. It scares the hell out of the players. It makes things feel like there's a lot more at stake here in this campaign than you'd normally ever expect in a D&D campaign. The thief waits. Okay, hey, Vapor Missile, welcome to the 3 Orcs live stream. You said that the thief waits for someone to properly desecrate the altar before stealing his gem eyes. That's what you do. So what I want to talk about, so I explained all that, in previous videos too. And I plan to do a full-length video, not just a live stream, on this module when I'm done. I just got to finish this dungeon first. So Vapor, jam a +5 Holy Avenger into it. Well, a first level group would have that. Okay, so the Great Temple. Thematically, why? Why is this here? So, map. I got to redo this map, make this look better. This is just a rough sketch. Okay, there's a temple upstairs, and it's actually a temple, the temple we're talking about, Perimius, the god of assassins and fire. That's his altar temple. His altar. So down here is the crypts. So the soul, when they die, their bodies are taken here, and this is where they have the funeral. This is the funeral room. This is where all their relatives and all their hirelings, all their servants and apprentices and family and masters all gather. So I'm going to replace these coffins with pews, stone benches. So they'll have a great funeral here, you know, when somebody dies. And everybody shows up, a big, huge procession, a big, huge ceremony. That's what this room is for. So they go into the temple and they go down the steps. You know, they pass the test. Well, you know, there's priests with them, so it's just a matter of, it's a procession. You know, they're doing their chanting and their prayers, and they got their holy symbols up and all that, and they're coming down this hallway and down this intersection, and they finally get to the Great Temple, right? So it's a big, huge event, and they come here, and somebody has a funeral here. Then the body's taken from this room, and it's taken down to in this room. This is where this log cataloged that stone tablet, clay tablets I was talking about before. Yeah, this is where all the records are kept. But then it's taken to the mortuary. So down here. So the body's taken to the mortuary, and the body's prepared, right, to be entombed. And this is where all the bones are kept. I'm not sure what to do with those bones yet. Okay, so then this is the entrance, the hall of pillars, the entrance to the crypt area, and if they're taken to their chosen crypt, the body is. So this place makes sense. It's a business. It's a funeral home for the soul. You know, this complex has got to make sense. You know, I didn't go as far as putting bathrooms in, but you know. So the living quarters are all upstairs on the first floor, right? But this is the crypt area. This is where all the action is when it comes to somebody dies, and they're taken down here, and they have a ceremony, and that's what this place is for. And in case there's any tomb raiders, a lot of it's trapped, but it's all, the traps are in a way where a priest, an Suel priest there, easily bypasses them with simple symbols and words and cadence. You know, something they would normally, how they would act normally anyway. And the doors will open, they'll be able to go through these tunnels, no problem. So it's not an inconvenience for a Suel priest to get through this place. And there's a book upstairs. Let's look at here we go. Okay, see room 16? That's a library. The orc tribe added that cage, by the way. So they got a prisoner there. But anyway, 16 is the library. There's a book there, all about the Suel rituals. So astute players could investigate and learn about this kind of thing, this cadence and this ritual, and what devices do what. So it'll help greatly down below. So again, about what you're talking about, first level. Yeah, the second level is not designed for anybody to go down there and beat it and to explore it for a first level party. First level party for this module, for this adventure, is to sneak in, get that treasure, and get the heck out, and go back and return the loot back to Lady Osbury. Get rewarded. You get lots of experience points, 5,000 experience points for a story award, right? Or 10, whatever you want to do, 10,000. And that's it. So there's another Living Greyhawk module. I forgot what it was. But anyway, Swath, the unicorn, which is part of the Fae community of Gnarley Forest, he's captured. One of the rangers finds the players, the adventurers, to come and begs them to come in here again because they have all the experience of being here the first time. And by then, they're like 3rd to 5th level by now. And so they come back in here, and they have to go back and find this unicorn that's trapped down below. In that original module, I think that unicorn is in room 14. But nothing's saying you can't. I haven't rewritten that module. But there's nothing saying you can't put the unicorn somewhere here, like in this circle. Oh, pit traps. So the bottom of one pit trap's here. The other pit trap bottom, you can see this. Down here somewhere. Oh, I don't have the whole map. You can't see the whole map. So to the southeast is another pit trap drop. These are the steps. Where's my other pit trap at? Oh, right here on the right. Yeah, down this cavern. It's off map. This is just a snippet of what I was working on. Screenshot. So that way I can share on Discord and ask you guys what you thought. I want to add this. So this is the difference between high res and low res. This is low res. So if you want a higher resolution version on this map, then I put them on my Patreon. All right, questions. So yeah, on Joseph Block's T1 module, T0 module is pretty good. Unfortunately, his map is based on the World of Greyhawk map. It had nothing to do with Anna Meyer's maps. So none of those trails and none of the locations from Living Greyhawk are on his map. So it's a little bit off. And it's kind of standard now that everybody's pretty much using the maps from Anna Meyer's for the World of Greyhawk because it flushes out the World of Greyhawk with all those needed small villages and roads. The World of Greyhawk map, Darlene map, only has the major geographical areas, the major road, the major rivers, the major lakes, like Knife Dive, but not the minor stuff. And this campaign, the sandbox version of this campaign is so detailed in such a small area, you have to really zoom in because all this stuff is happening in such a small little area that it'll only be one hex on her map of all these temple outposts and activities and things that's happening. All right, so oh, you guys aren't talking. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's talk about this room. I need your help on it. Been an hour. I wrote a whole bunch of flavor text getting in here. So I put a lot of dramatic description here to make this place really scary as heck. Really scary. Just reading this to the players. I'm really good at making like a cantrip seem really powerful. You know, just the way you describe it. If they don't know a wizard is first level casting a cantrip, how would they know? You know, when you cast a spell in D&D, if you're role playing, you're describing the effect. You're not just saying out loud, I cast magic missile. Oh, he's casting magic missile. No, that's not role playing. That's board gamer. So if you describe what's happening, yeah, you got even Dragon Magazine back in the 80s talked about that, how you can describe different spells, their effect, what they look like, the color and the shape. Like a magic missile can come in a lot of different forms. But anyway, that's just an example. But can you imagine what you can do with a prayer, a blessing, a curse, things like that? Really scary stuff. Players have no idea what he's casting, but it looks really scary. So anyway, with that in mind, yeah, all these effects, the altar effects, the room effects, really dramatic. So this is really scary stuff. And what he says, his chant is a razor through silk, the way he speaks. If the party comes in very noisily, the undead here will rise up. So I did a room effect. Let's call it. I'll put it down here. Lair actions. I got lair actions and boss pacing. So with the lair effect. Yeah, lair effect. 1, a ruby pulse. The chant will swell each enemy, like the players, within 30 feet of one of those candelabrums must make a DC 15 save or be frightened of the altar until the end of the next turn. You know, it's minor, frightened effect. 2, seize the measure. Move each of the ruby zombies 10 feet along the aisle towards the target and grant them +2 armor class for the next round. Okay, not so bad, right? 3, judgment spark. A candelabrum spits ruby motes in a 15-foot straight line. Creatures in this line make a DC save of 14 or take 3d6 radiant damage. Undead that fail takes 3d6 force damage. Okay. If you're not using lair actions, then you can give this guy a legendary action. He can command the undead, a ruby lash. It's a necrotic bolt to 3d6. So I also added something else. We're going to go over him in a minute. You know that old school D&D rule? Traditional Dungeons and Dragons. If you try to pray to a god, there's a 1% chance he'll respond. Usually with a somebody that represents him. What's that word? Avatar? Okay, I'll make sure you guys aren't talking. Okay, so 5%, I guess. You could change it if you want. So he spends his entire action petition the ruby judge. Roll d20. On a 20, the avatar sign will manifest over the altar for 1 round. A ruby-robed silhouette with a helmed skull. All creatures choose kneel or defy. Get 2 choices. The undead under this leader will get 10 hit points back. After it fades, all the candelabras will flare, restoring the ruby halo as if it is suppressed. A dramatic beat, and of course, flavor text of what that looks like. I got tactics I laid out of what he's doing with the dais, controlling of the undead. What happens when he's down to half hit points, a third. What happens if the altar surges, describing what the altar looks like when it surges like that. The candelabrums, if you dispel them or they're snuffed out, what they look like. If the leader falls, this is what it looks like when he actually falls. If you do consecrate the altar, there's a description for that. You can also scale the fight, lower the party level, zombies to 4, ghouls to 1, gargoyles rather than golems. Higher level could be a ruby custodian white emerge from the side on round 3. Statues or stone golems. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. Oh, map. So, okay. So I was thinking boss fight, right? Okay, see these 2 statues? Scaling up, those are gargoyles, but they're stone golems. That if the altar is touched, they come to life, and you can fight for him. The pews here will like a dozen ruby zombies, and a custodian ghoul. Custodians are ghouls. So that's the fight. You got a dozen zombies, a couple ghouls, and maybe a white. I don't know. Or maybe they can come in later through this door. Like a worker gang. A custodian comes in with, he's a ghoul, and with his zombies. So they can enter the fight like on maybe around number 5 or something. But anyway, so he's here behind the altar, which is cover, half cover. And he's using the altar effects and his own abilities. And the zombies are engaging, and the statues are engaging. So that's the battle. I could put pillars in here too. So let's look at him. So that's what he looks like. Let's see, Valtris. So I wrote a whole history about this Ancient Suel Temple. Everything you want to know about this temple, why, when it was built, and when it fell, and what it was for. So he's the archverger of the Ruby Law. So this place went down around, I guess, 10 common year. It's in the history. When it went down, when it abandoned and destroyed, there was nothing left at all. Just corpses. And the dead were still dead in the crypts below. And yeah, the stairs were caved in. Yeah, that's what happened during the battle. Okay. The orcs moved in, and they excavated those stairs. And they got as far as the first room. I even described that in the first room with the statue puzzle. So you're going to find orc corpses down there. Also, patrol orcs fell into the pit traps too. So you're going to find dead orc bodies down there, animated as zombies. Maybe there's a pair of orcs hiding somewhere in one of the rooms, starving to death, trying to find a way out, eating rats. That'd be cool. Okay, so after what? 400 years or more? No, 550 years. It's 579 common year right now, or 576 common year. He stirs. I think he stirred and came to life when the orcs broke in. I think the curse on the place awoken him, and he started doing his thing, raising his undead, bringing them all back to restore the glory of the Suel Temple, to take back his possession from those orcs, and further onwards and keep going. In fact, he'll be very useful in the war to come with the Temple of Elemental Evil. That's far down the path here. So what he's done already is he's used these rooms, and they're in the mortuary right now. There's a gang there right now animating the dead. They do animate like one a day during the rituals. And so he's been doing this since the orcs have been here. And his goal, his motivation is to retake the top level from the orcs. So you remember that's his goal, and he's lawful. So a dungeon master, when it comes to role playing, depending on the player, it could a cause and effect. It could be a thing, depending on the kind of player. Maybe a certain kind of cleric that worships one of the soul gods could have a leverage here, a way to communicate and not just outright immediate combat. All right, so he's been doing that. So he's got ghouls and zombies under him, and a white. So one of the big crypts, he hasn't been able to figure out how to open it yet. So that the main crypt isn't opened yet. But once that is open, that white will join him. That wraith will join him. So he'd be more powerful. He'll have a lieutenant, his second in command. So that's him. So if you look at him, he's CR8. He's worth 3,900 experience points. And he's incorporeal. He's got ruby jurisdiction. He's law-bound cadence. He's a 7th level cleric. Those are his spells. You guys see that? Yeah. He's got ruby life drain. This is traditional Dungeons and Dragons. Well, no. This is a 5th edition version of a ruby drain and dead. So 5th edition, what happens is you take 4d8 plus 3 necrotic damage, DC 15 con save. Your hit point maximum is reduced by damage taken until a long rest. Well, talk about easy mode. Why can't they just lose a level? Yeah, if this was traditional Dungeons and Dragons, you actually lose a level. He also has Edict of Stillness, 5 charges of that. Some kind of spectral change he uses. He's got Spiritual Weapon, Commander of the Ruby Dead, his reactions. He's got legendary actions. Enforce Cadence, Step Through Stone, or Call to Order. So Step Through Stone, he can move up to 15 feet through any object or creature. So he can pass through this crypt here and get around. That is something. Okay, I'm not an expert on legendary actions of 5th edition. I just know they're a thing. Okay, so in this article is about him as a person. This is his character article. What he looks like, his history in brief. He has a full history, part of the temple. It was just a separate article. This is how he woke up. Centuries later, the Howling Moon Orcs, a bunch of jerks, they desecrated their seals. He's all mad and he wants to kick some butt. So the goals here, he's got a short-term goal, a mid-term goal, and a long-term goal. And this is how he views the gods. If you want to get into some sort of discussion with him with the role-playing. This is his relationships in the dungeon with the Howling Moon Orcs, with the Bloodsinger, and the Duro. What he does, and his boons and bargains. So if you were able to get him to cooperate with the player, this is stuff he can do for the player. I listed 3 things, possible things he could do. Basically, like if they return a stolen ledger tablet or reconsecrate a seal. So there you go. Or if the party restores a brace or resets a counter mass door, they'll give him that. If they use fire on the dead or shove someone into the pit, he declares high contempt. All Ruby undead gain an advantage. Okay, I decided to write flavor text when you first confront him, because you might not initially confront him in that main temple, because he can be found randomly in different parts of this dungeon, because he does have the antechamber that he does use, and he also has the public records room, and he does visit the other rooms to make sure operations are working and doing his thing. So it's possible for him randomly to encounter him elsewhere. That's why I wrote this. Now, Wandering Monster Table. That's something I was going to talk about. I created one. So on the main article right here, level 2 article, the main article for level 2, And on the right-hand side, of course, is the link to all the rooms, right? But if you scroll down to the right, there's a random encounter table here. You roll once every 30 minutes. Ruby, swarm of rats, dark mantle, duro, amber skins. They're basically ass mephits, giant rats, cave fisher. So he's not on this list, but he could be. And I put this list, another list is in the crypt area number 11. There's another list there. This is not done at all. This is still a work in progress. So what I want to know from you guys, let's see what you had to ask about. So hoodie, avatar, yep. We still use the rule for a divine intervention. We have a percentage chance based on level, percentile, class, cleric. Think that we use the old AD&D rules. Yep, I still do that. Hey, I remember it's supposed to be 1%, but I was thinking maybe it should be up to now 5% because of this location. Yeah, not just this temple, not this complex, but that room. So maybe it'll up the chances. So 5%, right? Alter effect. Okay, 5th edition stats are fine to use. 5e is simple enough and easily adapted to other systems, and it's obviously required for DM's Guild licensing. Yep. Even though OSC stat block's probably ideal for the Temple of Elemental Evil. That's true. I prefer Castles of Crusade, which is the modern version of AD&D. It's more robust for an epic sandbox campaign to go the full. You got to remember, this character is out. Think about this. A lot of the leaders of the Temple of Elemental Evil and in the World of Greyhawk, they're anywhere from 10th, 12th level, 16th, 17th, 20th level characters. OSC doesn't go that far. So that's a problem. Okay, so Hoodie said, thanks. We love random encounter tables. Sadly, not seen anymore since anymore in Pathfinder or D&D 5e. That sounds like a problem. Somebody needs to do something about it. Okay, so I don't know. This is how I got this room scaled and balanced right now. So if you guys want to talk about it on Discord, let me know what your thoughts are about how I have it keyed now when it comes to combat. But if there's something to consider. Where did he go? 5th level? No, he's 8th. No, where's his spells at? He's a 7th level cleric. So he's got Animate Dead. 7th level cleric has 4th level spells. Something to think about. I probably should add his spells here. Yeah, something that I got to put more thought into that. But how the picture speaks 1,000 words, right? So I got to think about how that combat will go to make it, legitimate, fair, right. You're running the game right. Logical. That's what I got to make sure. That's my goal. I don't care what level the characters are. That's their problem. They shouldn't be here then. They said, when I run my game, I give a lot of tells, warnings, clues, what you smell, what you see, what you sense, what you hear, clues that they find, so you're not going to just walk into a room with a vampire and get ganked. Not in my game. There's plenty of clues before that, forewarning for to tip the players off that what's to come, what's expected to come. Also, it's up to the players to initiate that as well. It all starts with a character creation. It starts with the group composition. If your players don't have a thief in the group, that's a problem. If your players don't have a ranger in the group or a druid, that's a problem. They're going to be weak in those areas. You're going to get lost in the wilderness. You're not going to find what you're looking for. You're not going to know who raided the caravan. You're not going to find that secret hideout. You don't have a thief in the group. You're not going to get past those traps. Well, it's not true, but that thief can do a lot of scouting in the dungeon too. I role play, so you can get past any creature or any trap by role playing. It all depends on what you look like, how you present yourself, what you say, how you handle the situation. Like that whole idea behind a wizard, first level wizard casting a cantrip. They don't know that he could talk down the entire orc clan, thinking that he's one of the circle of 8, showing up to destroy them. Depending on what he says, he can make them lose the morale. How you role play. It's not all about rolling the dice. And when I wrote these articles, I put a lot of things in these articles about how to get around this encounter without rolling dice, how they can think outside the box. Like if there's a hole in the front of the chest with a poison dart in it, it's trapped, right? Well, in 5th edition, you got to roll to get past the trap. No, you got to role play. So this is a simple example. Plug it up with some gum with a dagger point, and then open the chest. What's the trap going to do? Unless there's something else about that chest you don't know about. You got to examine things. Get clues. You can bypass stuff that way. Also, you can actually talk down monsters or NPCs. You can bluff them by handing them a fake note. It could be just a bunch of scribble on the note, but they don't know that. They probably can't read. This is a note from the king. See? It's all role play. You don't have to roll. Now you could. The Dungeon Master, in Castles for Crusades, what they say in that rule set is you should only roll unless there is a significant chance of failure. But if it seems reasonable, you don't have to roll. Just go with it. It'll work. And pace and timing is really important in the game. Really important. Spending time on rules and rule adjudication slows the game down. It's very boring. Okay, any more questions about this stuff? Random encounters. So yeah, I just wanted to end what I did this week, which is location 18. So next week, let's go look at the map again. I'm going to continue onwards. Can you see all that? So yeah, the caverns keep going off the map. I don't want to load up my map making program because I don't want to crash what's going on here. I don't want to take that chance. But yeah, there's a lot more caverns and an underground river stream going through it. And also there's more crypt rooms down there that were broken apart. These natural cavern, by the way, like this room right here, it's a natural occurrence. It just caved in. The builders didn't know about. Well, the builders over here didn't know about this right here. It just caved in over time. So the builders didn't know about this, some of it, these underground caverns, but they did here. Well, it all caved in right here. It all caved in. Yeah. So the builders originally didn't know about it. Then over the years, something happened and all caved in, and it opened up those other natural caverns. And so, so those natural caverns have 2 access points. One is along the stream that takes you out to the south. So it's another way in and out of this dungeon. And also there's another tunnel going to the north west. And I haven't decided whether or not that should go deeper into the Underearth, or it's just another access to the outside world, or maybe add another tunnel. Actually, that's why they plug this up, right? I bet that goes into the Underearth, but at the bottom of this hole here, it kept going. So they plugged it up. Yeah. So there's something to think about. Kind of weird though, that every dungeon has access to the Underearth. Doesn't seem realistic. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I've been talking for an hour and a half. Thank you, Hoodie. I appreciate you liking the work, and I'm going to keep putting this out. As soon as I finish this, I'll start working on those other outposts. And if you guys have a request for another village, let me know. There's other villages that do need to be done, especially towards the Wild Coast. But I haven't heard, nobody started a campaign so far in the well, actually one did, but he already did it. He's already left the Wild Coast, and he's already at Hamlet right now. So I don't have to worry about him unless they want to return, and he wants me to flush it out for him. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up here. Gotta get my screen open. Where'd it go? I'm lost. Yeah. Okay, well, this wraps up my live stream for 3 arcs. It's now November 2nd, 2025, almost end of the year. And I'll look forward to doing another live stream next Sunday. I do one every Sunday at 7 p.m. PST time. So I go over what we've done all week. That way, keep everybody can be caught up with all the work we've been doing and ask any questions. Sometimes I'll have a guest Dungeon Master on, and we can talk about his campaign, what he's doing, what his players are up to, and answer questions and go and discuss what could be done with their campaign, where he could lead the players to next, or how to develop it. Sometimes I'll have a special guest, like a writer, like a living Greyhawk writer from back in the day. I'll have them on talking about their modules. Also, you're more than welcome to come to the Three Orcs Discord channel, and we discuss this stuff every day, all day long, as I work on these articles and review and critique them and talk about stuff. We have an update already on the history of the Suel Temple with Hologant. He wants me to make some changes, so I'm going to do that tomorrow before we make a video on that. And then also there's the Patreon. So Patreon, you can join for free. If you want access to the higher tier stuff, you just have to join as a member. And what it really does is it supports this project. It's really the only way to support this project is to be a Patreon member, because it helps me out, because I have to pay all these fees every month for all these apps I use to create all this stuff. And, it encourages me to keep working on it. 7 years, usually Dungeon Masters give up working on something after 6 months. And I'm still doing it. I used to go to the coffee house every day, and while I'm drinking my coffee and looking at the girls, I work on these articles. And then I go home, go shopping, and go do my other job. So that's what I do all week long, and 7 days a week when I can. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining my Three Orcs live stream. I look forward to talking to you guys next time, and I hope your players enjoy your campaign as much as mine have. You guys have a good weekend. Good night.